Thanks for joining us today. My name's Steve Bowles and I run business development for Ephesoft. If you're not familiar with us, we provide technology that unlocks unstructured document content and makes that data accessible and actionable to the enterprise. So the focus of this webinar today is how organizations can drive value from their document content. We'll explore 4 elements of content value and we'll show you how to leverage it with Ephesoft technology. So let's go ahead and get started. So it's estimated that nearly 80% of the data out there is unstructured and inaccessible. When it comes to organization documents, naked content, or those documents missing elements of value we'll cover here in a minute, is really expensive. When's the last time you couldn't find a key document or search for one for over 10 minutes? Missing poor or bad data has an immense impact on efficiency and productivity. Take a look at these stats from Fathom. The impact is real and painful. Today's organizations deal with a sea of dark content on a daily basis. The average enterprise has no less than 10 document repositories. With documents spread across numerous locations and technologies, both on-prem and in the cloud, and with the advent of technologies like Box, Dropbox, and OneDrive, end users struggle with leveraging the true value of their content. A prime challenge is that document creation never stops. On a daily basis, they're received via email, mobile devices, fax, mail, and uploads. Internally, users and systems create new content through their daily efforts, scanning, and interaction with systems. Pile this on top of pre-existing content acquired through mergers and acquisitions, and the problem just continues to multiply. So to create a solution, a smart layer that interprets document content and exposes value on inbound content, those created by systems and users and pre-existing documents is required. So when we put in that smart layer or catalyst, it makes every document searchable, classifies the type, extracts pertinent and important data, and then correlates the data and documents to other existing documentation. This information's all made available to other systems and enhances their value as well. We call these the 4 elements of document content value. So to truly drive maximum efficiency and productivity around your document-centric processes, technology must be available to create searchable content, classify those documents, extract important data, and create correlation to other existing documents. When we look at this elemental stack, we start at the bottom, and there we have native unprocessed documents. As we proceed up the stack, processing gets more complicated and more involved. Each layer is dependent on the one below. For example, to properly extract metadata, you need to know what the document is. Once I know the document's a contract, I can extract the correct date of interest, like parties, date, etc. Similarly, with proper metadata, I can now create relationships and correlate linked documents. Without all 4 of these layers processed in sequence, values lost and max value cannot be achieved. A key concept I want to reinforce is that these elements are, as already stated, building blocks. Each layer relies on all the underlying layers. With each step up the chain, value increases and starts to grow exponentially. It's critical for continuity and speed that a single core technology or catalyst processes content step by step. And the key overarching principle in this conversion of unstructured data to structured information. Plain text mining or an OCR process alone cannot leverage true value. And today, supervised machine learning with analytics is key to quick deployment and maximizing value. So let's dive into each of these elements one by one and examine their value. First and lowest in the value stack is searchability. To create a searchable entity, document content has to go through a normalization and conversion process to standardize the output. The end result is a consumable format that can be utilized by humans and machines alike. Full text search capability is the most basic and fundamental value a smart capture layer can provide. So being able to find that needle in a haystack throughout your sea of content provides great value. All of the content services platforms on the market have text indexing engine, and when provided a searchable document format, you have a broad-reaching search capability of the full text content. Today, the most common searchable format is the PDF image with text, which is really a suitcase for a pristine, unchanged snapshot of the document in image form and a hidden text layer for searchability. As the P in its acronym denotes, this portable format is easily recognized and searchable in just about any system. One note here, searchability also extends to machines, and this notion is typically missed. Modern smart layer technologies also create a machine-readable fingerprint, usually in XML, in parallel with the PDF. This machine-directed content can be kept for future initiatives and consumed by systems for all other needs, including enabling higher value element exposure, and is the foundation for our next three elements. Next in the stack is classification. In the tech world, this can mean different things, so let's define classification and what it means in the value stack. In the smart capture world, we use classification to define the type of document. Classification engines discriminate between driver's licenses, applications, passports, and do auto sorting. I want to be clear, many legacy capture apps do classification by pure text pattern matching. This method leads to poor accuracy and misclassification and can cause huge headaches. Modern smart capture engines use simple supervised machine learning that can be conducted by administrators and end users alike. Just drop a document into a learning folder and boom, you're done. How does this work? Not going too techy, but the applications examine the page just like a human would and analyze words, patterns, locations, font face, and more to create a digital fingerprint ID for document types. Tied to classification is one of the most important concepts in smart capture and a huge efficiency driver, separation. If I handed you a stack of 30 documents and told you to sort them, you inherently know when one document ends and another begins. With classification and separation, the machine performs this effort. It can rip apart digital documents that are bundled sets or allow you to scan a big stack of disparate documents and do all the heavy lifting. Beyond the obvious benefits and value of classification, once identified, documents can now be auto-named, routed to their end resting place, or have business rules applied based on requirements. Some examples are specific security rules on types of documents, the routing of documents to different departments, or perhaps kicking off workflows when certain types of documents arrive. Most importantly, classification enables document type specific data extraction rules, which we'll go ahead and cover next. So as one of the most important value elements, metadata, or data about the document, is the most common missing or incomplete piece of the puzzle. This value component works hand in hand with classification and encompasses pertinent and important information. It's specific to that document type and uses extraction rules to provide a deep understanding of the content. It's one of the keys to enabling efficiency and productivity and greatly enables other technologies that manage content. The majority of content services platforms can receive a document and the associated metadata. The value of this specific element initially is the elimination of manual data entry and a reduction in clerical requirements. In addition, the speed and efficiency of processing leads to rapid turnaround time on critical business documents. With metadata added, granular search can now be performed. The biggest benefit here is that the content and its associated data are now open for all types of workflow, access and governance, and this layer is a catalyst that exposes dark content for business system use and automation. As we rise to the top of the stack, we have correlation, which can provide immense power to any organization. So just what is correlation? It's the ability to automatically establish a relationship between documents across document types based on specific metadata. An example would be a bank that wants to see all the documents tied to a name, email, or account. Correlation creates and maintains the digital breadcrumb trail that shows all these related entities. Modern systems will create this automatically and do it through multiple dimensions of metadata. So where's the value? Without correlation or a tool to visualize it, analysts, auditors, or knowledge workers have to perform a series of nested searches to attempt to find documents in a chain. There is no simple way to save this set of searches, and they typically have to be conducted over and over. Imagine the power of entering an ID number and having all the associated document and data relationships presented within a single view. This unified correlation view, also known as mind mapping, can present simple visual relationships and allow for faster search, analysis, and overall results with fewer people. So that's a quick overview of the 4 elements, and when they're put to broad use in an organization through Smart Capture, they permeate not only the initial systems they touch, but their effects expand and infiltrate every system in the organization. Workflows become smarter with this added layer. ERP and CRM systems now have additional information, and broad elemental value can enhance and extend analytics and reporting. So how do we expose these elements and end the document content chaos? Ephesoft provides this catalyst technology in our Smart Capture and Analytics engine that's exposed through 2 core products, Transact and Insight. Let's dig in and see how they work. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my demo process. And before we get started, what I'm going to do so we don't sit and watch grass grow while things are processing, before I talk a little bit more in depth, I'm going to upload a few sets of documents for processing. And if you haven't seen Ephesoft Transact before, it's our web-based transactional capture product. I've got 2 demos that I'll run through here, and I'll expand on those here in a minute, but one is a financial analysis use case. So let's say that a bank is going in and they're doing due diligence for a merger and acquisition or processing a loan. We'll go ahead and upload some disparate documents that have come across that maybe the loan applicant or the company that's looking at being acquired has provided. And we'll go ahead and kick off our financial analysis workflow. The other one I'm going to do is actually a permits process, and we'll go ahead and upload these as well. And these are oil and gas well permits that I've downloaded from the state of Texas website. We'll grab a few of these, open them up, and kick off this process as well. So while those are going through and being processed, let's go ahead and look at these source documents. So for the due diligence demo, where we're uploading a bunch of corporate documents, there's things like board of directors notes, we've got contracts and releases of liability. Those have been uploaded, and what's going to happen, Ephesoft is actually going to classify those, make them searchable, and in this example, we'll put them into a box repository so they can be searched, and Ephesoft will auto-organize those documents for us. So those are 2 elements of the value stack: searchability, and classification. In the other demo that I'll show you the end result here in a minute, we actually uploaded these oil and gas permits. Now understand that these have changed over the years and things have moved over the page, but because Ephesoft is efficient at processing these unstructured documents, we'll extract things like the operator name, the district, the county, and then down below we'll actually find this permit number. And for this example, we're going to put the searchable PDF, the classification information, and all the metadata into a SharePoint repository, just to give you a different flavor of how we look in different repositories. So I'm going to go ahead and look and check on the status of those two processes. I'm going to open up what we call batch instance management, which gives you a representation of the workflow. You can see here that I've got my permits are running, and then I've also got queued up for validation those particular finance documents. So if I flip over to Box and I show you the end result, what you can see here is that we've got a financial docs folder within a Box repository, and Ephesoft actually created custom named PDFs. So it sorted the contract amendments, the incorporation certificate, all the other documents, right? And these are searchable as well. We also did some fancy things. If we wanted to, we could populate metadata fields here in Box. We actually put a little tooltip here with some custom information in it. But really, one of the big powers beyond classification is now everything is searchable in the repository. So if I come in here and I want to search for the word board across all of these searchable PDFs, I've now got the ability to find that needle in a haystack when I'm searching for documents. Okay, so that's the first example, searchability and classification tying into a content services repository. Let's go ahead and switch to SharePoint. And if I refresh my, my document library, you'll actually see in here a little bit more information, okay? So as I scroll through the document, not only did I upload the searchable document into the system, and I could rename that if I wanted to as well, but I've also populated metadata fields. So now I've got the county, the district, the name of the operator, the permit ID. This information is now available to kick off those workflows. It's available for governance and security requirements, and it's also there for reporting. So immediately with that smart capture layer at the front of SharePoint, Box, or any other content repository, I've enhanced the value of that repository and the business operations that rotate around it, okay? So the last demo that I'll show you, and then we'll open it up for questions if anybody's got them. Let's go ahead and log into our other product, FSOT Insight. And now we're going to show that correlation factor, okay? So within Insight, I'm going to go ahead and open a couple different projects. And first, I'm going to give you kind of a view within Ephesoft on how things are actually set up and configured. So both products, Insight and Transact, are similar in the way that they're configured. Typically, we'll have the ability to create different document types. You can drag and drop samples of those document types into learning folders. It goes through our machine learning and analytics engine, so now I know how to classify. And then we can actually identify data of interest. And in this example, Insight went through, examined the searchable machine text of this produced document, applied our analytics algorithms to it, and now you can click on different things. So take, for example, an email. So if email was important to me, I could type in an email header and it would auto extract this on anything that it crawled. And you can see it auto IDs it as an email. I can click on a phone number and it looks the same way. It knows that it's a US telephone number, and I can go on and on. So we auto understand these different types of data. When I'm done, I publish this machine learning model. Ephesoft will go to town, crawl content, do the extraction, and the end result of all that effort is a nice, pretty, structured output from that unstructured document data. So what Insight does is it actually creates tables for each document type that I've created. So in this example, if I click into my payslip table, you can see I've got nice, pretty extracted metadata. So now in Insight, I created that searchable layer. I applied machine learning to it. I extracted metadata and classified the document. So the last piece is that correlation. Okay. So this example is for a privacy protection around GDPR documents. And take, for example, that this is a bank. And the bank actually has a bunch of information about different clients. And a client named Holly Griffin calls up and said, hey, I want you to purge all my private information from your system. Can you do that for me? So the analyst, if they didn't have this type of system, would have to go and manually create all those correlations to track down all the different documents that were created for Holly Griffin during the course of their business with her. So with FSOT Insight, I can come in here and I can say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and visualize Holly Griffin within our system and look at correlated metadata and documents. So in this example, within this mind map, we have Holly Griffin at the center of the world because she's our concern right now. And then I've got all the pay slips that were associated with her. Let's go ahead and add bank statements. So with Holly, we're going to go ahead and link a derived ID. So there's going to be a correlation between her ID across these doc types, and then we'll look at file names. So in this example, you can see bit by bit, I can create that digital breadcrumb trail through correlation that'll let me discover and find all those documents that are tied to Holly Griffin throughout the entire system, across document types, across repositories, and across different types of metadata. Well, that concludes this webinar. Thank you very much for attending. If you want to reach out to us, you can go to www.ephesoft.com or shoot us an email at info@ephesoft.com. Thanks again.